Hey Bloomfield, and what's up guys? Today we're going to be looking at things like complex fractions. So we're talking about these kinds of things right here, and we want to be able to simplify different types of fractions and what do they look like. So fractions on top of fractions, I know you guys love them. They're very important for later in this year in pre-calc. All right, here we go. All right, so when we have a fraction on the top, we're just going to go ahead and simplify the stuff that's on the bottom. So I got a 4 on the top, and all we're dealing with is what's on the bottom here. So we know that I can take, well, 3/4 minus 3/2. I can't add or subtract those until we get a common denominator, right? So I know that I got to put both of these in terms of 4s. So in order to get that one's already a 4. I just got to get the 2 up to 4, so I know I have to multiply by 2, right? So what was there, I'm multiplying by 2 over 2. So what was there? I'm multiplying by 2 over 2. And so that would give me 6 over 4. So in the bottom now, I have 3/4 minus 6/4. So that would give me negative 3/4. Right? So technically now what I'm doing is I'm doing 4 divided by negative 3/4. That's what that means. So when new division is the same thing as multiplication. So I'm technically doing 4 over 1 times negative 4 over 3. And now I can just multiply straight across and give me negative 16 over 3. All right, so now if I have x's involved, well, what do? Well, I do the same stinking thing. Well, I leave the top alone, and we're just going to leave the x there. And the bottom I already have a common denominator. So 3 over x plus 1 over x would give me what? 4 over x, right? That would be the bottom. So now I have, what do I have? I have x divided by 4 over x, which we know simplifies. So division changes to multiplication. So I got x times x over 4, which just gives me x squared over 4. All right, so now I have a problem that in the bottom we can leave alone because it doesn't have an additional fraction. But I do have to somehow get a common denominator here. I have to be able to add or subtract those together. So if I'm just waiting on the bottom for now, we're going to deal with just the numerator. So what is x squared over 9 plus 1 over 4? Well, in order to get a common denominator, I know that I would have to do what? Multiply this one by 4 over 4 and multiply this one by 9 over 9 in order to get a common denominator. So what would that give me on the top? So I'd have 4x squared over 36 plus 9 over 36. So now I can put that back in. Well, so the top, so I know that this would be, what, 4x squared plus 9. All right, so if I put that back in to where I have the top now is simplified out, so that gives me, what, 4x squared plus 9 over 36, and that would be then divided by 6x, which we know I can flip. So I got 4x squared plus 9 over 36, 1 over 6x. So what is that going to end up giving me? 4x squared plus 9. So that would give me 4x squared plus 9 all over 216x, and that would be our simplified answer there. So we are done with that problem. All right, so now I have one that has a fraction in the top and a fraction in the bottom. So I'm going to deal with just the numerator, or just the top first. So I know I have 25 over 12, and I have to add x plus 1 over 4. Well, there is no way to be able to do that because they do not have common denominators, right? So I would have to make them both into some kind of 12s. So I know the least common multiple there would both be 12s. So this one I don't have to do anything to, but this one I do have to multiply by 3 over 3 in order to make a common denominator. So what would that give me then for the top? I have 25 over 12 plus, and now I got to distribute the 3, so that would give me 3x plus 3 over 12. So that is just the top. So the top part would become, when I add those together, 3x, and then 25 plus 3 would give me 28 over 12, because we just added the 25 and the 3. Okay, so that's just the top. Let's look at the bottom now and see what happens to the bottom. Well, we have 1 over 18 minus x plus 1 over 36. So once again, I need some form of common denominator, or some kind of least common multiple. In this case, it'd be 836. So I need to somehow get this one to be a 36. So I got to multiply it by 2 over 2. So that would give me 2 now over 36 minus x plus 1 over 36. If I put those together, that negative is going to go with that. So I'm going to get negative x. And then 2 minus 1 would be plus 1 over 36. So I know that I am dividing these two together, right? So I can flip them around. So I get 3x plus 28 over 12 times 36 over negative x plus 1. So let's think about simplifying that. Well, I like to simplify before we multiply. Simplify before we multiply. So think about these pieces. So if I see a 36 in the top and I see a 12 in the bottom, that's just like saying 36 divide by 12. So I know I can cancel and divide those out. 36 divided by 12 leaves me with a 3. All right, so what am I going to get now? Let's multiply. So I'm going to go this way. So if I multiply those together, 3 times 3x gives me 9x. And 3 times 28 gives me 84. All over negative x plus 1. And that would be as simple as I can go. All right, so if you got the right answer on this one, awesome. Congratulations, and